Hey, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to say, Kahala Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. That's all praise, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father, in the name of His only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Right? I want to give double honors to the elders and apostles that labored before me in this truth and taught me this truth, and Shalom to the hopeful elect. Right? Hey, I want to talk about today, man. Hey, being well-rounded in this truth, well-rounded in the ministry. You know, you don't want to be lacking nothing, man. You want to make sure every stone is turned, right? So that the Most High God can say, hey, you were a good and faithful servant, multiplying the talents that He gave you, right? So I'm gonna start out here in the book of First Chronicles chapter 12 and verse 1 says, now these are they that came to David to Ziklag, while he yet himself close because while he yet kept himself close because of Saul, the son of Kish, and they were among the mighty men, helpers of the war. Right, verse 2. They were armed with bows and could use both the right hand and the left to hurl stones, and shooting arrows out of a bow, even of Saul's brethren of Benjamin. Right, but it's saying right here, hey, they were skilled in war, right? They could use the right hand and the left. You know what I mean? And that goes back to, you know, when people used to play basketball. I used to play basketball in school, right? To be a proficient guard or a scorer, you had to be able to go right and you had to go left. You had to be able to use both hands, man. You had to be able to drive to the basket. You had to be able to shoot the three ball. You had to be able to hit the mid range, right? Be a high percentage free throw shooter, right? You had to have everything to be the most efficient scorer, right? And then on top of that, you had to go the other way and play defense. That's the same thing with this ministry, man. You should be proficient at being a reader. Be proficient at research, study, right? Teaching, praying, you know what I mean? Being charitable to the brothers, right? Showing love to the brethren, right? Your fellow Israelites, you know? Being able to edify, being able to exhort, right? You got to make foolproof the ministry, you know? That's why you can't rest. You should always be putting in this work, man. You shouldn't get tired of doing it the right way. And the right way is serving the Most High God. That's what a servant does, right? Yeah, you got to keep the law, of course, man, but you got to go above and beyond, right? Let me get this in the Apocrypha, right? Let me get this right. Seek him 10 times more, right? So this is the book of Baruch, chapter 4. I'm going to start at verse 27. It says, Be of good comfort, O my children, and cry unto the Most High. For ye shall be remembered of Him that brought these things upon you, right? And it's talking about the curses, right? The things we have to go through, these trials and tribulations. Hey, the Most High is going to remember us in the day that we remember Him, right? Verse 28. For as it was your mind to go astray from the Most High, so being returned, seek Him 10 times more, right? So you should be adding and multiplying your talent, because you never know when the Most High God is going to put someone in your face that you have the opportunity to give them the gospel. You have the opportunity, you know what I mean, to present information to them that can save their soul, right? That can make them wise unto salvation. Right, so you always got to be ready. You got to be girded up, right? This is the book of 2 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 5. It says, But watch thou all things, endure afflictions, do the work of an evangelist, make full proof the ministry, right? If you're a teacher, first and foremost, if you're a teacher, you got to be on the street corners. That's the first thing to make full proof the ministry, right? You can't be an internet-only Israelite, man, hiding behind the camera. Nah, bro, you got to make full proof the ministry. You got to be out there in the streets. And if you're on the streets, hey, you should be putting up videos, man. You know, you should be doing more. You just do everything you can to make sure you're going to be on these chariots. Because it's not guaranteed, right? It's not guaranteed you're going to be on the chariots. You know, if you got a complacent mindset, you know, that you just do the bare minimum, you think that's enough. That's not enough, right? Let me get this. This is 2 Peter chapter 1 and verse 10. It says, Wherefore the rather, brethren, give diligence to make your calling and election sure. For if you do these things, you shall never fail, right? Or you should never fall. Right? So you gotta give diligence. And I go into this word, this word diligence is spadazo, right? Spadazo in the Greek. It says to hasten, to make haste, to exert one's self, and endeavor, give diligence, right? You go into the root word, it says earnestness in accomplishing, promoting, or striving after anything, right? Earnestness, diligence, right? To give all diligence, interest oneself most earnestly, right? But you got to be, let's go to look at this word, earnestness, right? Sincere and intense conviction, right? Let me get this. Right, this is the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 16 and verse 15. I beseech you, brethren, you know that the house of Stephanus, that it is the first fruits of Achaia, and that they have addicted themselves to the ministry of the saints, right? You got to be addicted to the ministry of the saints, right? Feeding these sheep, bro. That's what you got to do, man. And first and foremost, you got to study to show thyself approved so that you can feed the sheep, right? So that you're doing it the right way. Let's get this word for addicted, man. It's tasso, put in order to station, right? To appoint, ordain, order, right? Let me see. Yeah, that's pretty much it on that. Let's see what it's got synonyms, right? To command, to assign a post to, right? But hey, man, you got to be addicted to the ministry. You know what I mean? You gotta be standing on your post, right? Let me get that in Habakkuk. It's Habakkuk 2. Where is it at? The book of Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 1 says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and I will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved, right? But it's telling you, I will stand on my post. You got to stand on your post, right? Especially if you're a watchman, you're a teacher. You got to be in position. You know, you can't be on vacation the day the sheep need you, man. You got to stay available, right? You got to stay available. Even if you go taking a vacation, hey, what they say, make foolproof the ministry. You got to do the things to make sure you're not taking days off. You know what I mean? Because every day is precious, right? Let me get that actually. Redeeming the time, right? Redeem the time. Let me see. Right. This is the book of Ephesians chapter 5 verse 16, and it reads. Actually, I started. Verse 15 says, "See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise." Right. Redeeming the time, because the days are evil. Right. You know, we don't got a lot of time to be messing around. You know, you got to be on your job. You got to be girded up. This is the book of 1 Samuel chapter 30 and verse 19. It reads, and there was nothing lacking to them, neither small nor great, neither sons nor daughters, neither spoil nor anything that they had done, they had taken to them. David recovered all, right? But the point I was getting at is there's nothing lacking in them, man. Neither small nor great, right? And that's how you make foolproof the ministry. Don't be lacking in any parts of your spiritual walk, right? That's why it tells you about the spiritual gifts in Corinthians. Let me get those. Spiritual gift. Spiritual gifts. Let's see. Let's see which one I want. Right, so I'm here in 1 Corinthians chapter 12. I'm going to start at verse 7. It says, but the manifestations of the Spirit is given to every man to profit withal. Right, and you go to Luke 19 and 13. It says, tells you to occupy until you come back, right? What's occupy mean? It means to conduct business. That's not telling you to, oh man, just focus on getting the bag until the Messiah comes. No, it's talking about doing the work of the Lord, right? In whatever capacity and whatever talent that the Most High has given you, right? But right here it says the Spirit is given to every man to profit wherewithal, right? So you got to use the Spirit that you've been given. You know what I mean? The gifts you've been given to profit the ministry, not to profit yourself, right? Everything is for the Most High God Yahweh, right? And if that's not your mindset, you need to check your spirit, man. Verse 8, for the one is given by the Spirit the word of wisdom, to another the word of knowledge by the same Spirit, to another faith by the same Spirit, to another the gifts of healing by the same Spirit, to another the working of miracles, to another prophecy, to another discerning of spirits, to another diverse kinds of tongues, to another the interpretation of tongues. But all these worketh that one and the self same Spirit, dividing to every man severally as he will, right? For as the body is one and have many members, and all the members of that one body, being many, are one body, so also of Hamashiach, right? So it's basically saying, man, all these gifts are given to edify the sheep, the you know what I mean, to magnify the body, to increase the body, right? To strengthen the body. It's all for the betterment of the Most High God's plan, right? And to increase His church, right? Make sure the church is strong and lacking nothing, right? Let me get this in 1 John or James 1. I'm gonna start at 1, right? James, a servant of the Most High and of Hamashiach, the Lord Hamashiach Yahushai, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting, right? My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. But let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing, right? Let me look this up in another translation, right? Let's see what it says. In the NLT, it says, verse 4, it says, so let it grow, for when your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, and needing nothing, right? Right? It tells you right here, perfect just means complete. You know, you want to be complete in this ministry. Let's see what it says in AMP, right? AMP. And let endurance have its perfect result, and do a thorough work, so that you may be perfect and completely developed in your faith, lacking in nothing, right? And the perfection comes with the faith, man. Because you can't be perfect in the law, in this captivity, right? Especially in this flesh, you need the Messiah. That's what you need the blood of the Messiah for. If you're walking around saying you never sin, you've never read the law, man. You're not proficient in the law. You know, you need the Messiah. All we're doing here is, America is rehearsing the righteous acts. Let's get that. Rehearse. Let me see. Rehearse. Right, this is the book of Judges. This is the book of Judges, chapter 5 and 11. It says, they that are delivered from the noise of the archers. What's the noise of the archers? That's talking about the nuclear destruction, right? The Bible likens the nukes to arrows, right? And the firing mechanism as the archers, right? And at the end of the day, it tells you that the Most High God, He's going to guide the arrows, and they're not going to miss when they come upon Mystery Babylon, right? It's going to be complete destruction in this land, right? They that are delivered from the noise of the archers in the place of drawing waters, there shall they rehearse the righteous acts of Yahweh, even the righteous acts toward the inhabitants of His villages in Israel. Then shall the people of Yahweh go down to the gates, right? But in the land of drawing waters, in the land of our captivity, we will rehearse the righteous acts, man. So you're just rehearsing the righteous acts. You're not keeping the law perfectly, man. Don't deceive yourself, right? You need the Messiah. You need to be girded up in faith, right? Because when the Maracladons come, when that tribulation come, hey, man, them fringes ain't going to save you, man. You know what I mean? The only thing that's going to save you is the covering of the Most High God, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. That's why you got to make foolproof the ministry. Do everything you do to make sure, everything you need to do to make sure that you're covered, man. This is the book of 1 Peter chapter 1 and verse 13. Wherefore gird up the loins of your mind. Be sober and hope to the end for the grace that is to be brought unto you at the revelation of Hamashiach Yahushai, right? As obedient children, not fashioning yourselves according to the former lust in your ignorance, but as he which hath called you is holy, so be ye holy in all manner of conversation. Let's look at this word conversation. Right, this word conversation is anastrophe, right? A manner of life, conduct, behavior, department, right? You look at the root word, it goes into what? To turn upside down, overturn, to turn back, right? You know what I mean? Complete turnaround of your life. You know, you got to become a whole new creature. Let's go back up here to verse 13. I'm going to look at the word sober, right? What is this? Nafo, right? To be sober, to be calm and collected in spirit, to be temperate, that's discipline, right? Dispassionate, circumspect. Let's look at this word, dispassionate. Dispassionate is not influenced by strong emotion, and so able to be rational and impartial. Right? You can't be emotional in this truth, man. You know, you can't be overly emotional. I would say, you know, it's nothing wrong with having emotions, man, but you can't be overly emotional, right? That's a lot of niggas' problem, man. They can't just go with what the scriptures say. They want to go with what they feel, man. But the heart is desperately wicked and deceitful above all things, right? Who can know it? Let's get this in the book of Ezekiel 37:10, right? I started at verse 9. It says, Then said he unto me, Prophesy unto the wind, prophesy, son of man, and say to the wind, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Come from the four winds, O breath, and breathe upon these slain, that they may live, right? And this is talking about the valley of dry bones, right? The spirit had to be put back on the Israelites, right? So they could have understanding in these scriptures, right? That they can go out and prophesy, that they can detach themselves from this wicked and adulterous nation, right? They can get off the wine of fornication and come back to the wine of righteousness, right? The water of the word, right? Verse 10, So I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them, and they lived and stood upon their feet, an exceedingly great army, right? You know what I mean? The Most High is building up a spiritual army, right? That's why you got to make foolproof the ministry. That's why you got to be doing everything you can, continuously working, right? So you look at Yahushua, he was a worker. You know what I mean? The Messiah was a worker. The 12 apostles were workers. They did the work, right? They were continuously trying to multiply and, you know what I mean, flip that talent, flip that penny, right? Turn it into more for the Most High God, right? Let's get this in the book of Ephesians chapter 6. And I'm going to start at verse, where I want to start. I'm going to start at verse 10. It says, Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of the Most High, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil, right? This Hasatan, the adversary, because he's studying you, right? He's waiting for you to slip up so he can devour you, right? What Yahushua tell Peter, you know what I mean? The devil, Satan, desires to sift you as wheat. Let me get that real quick. Sift you wheat. Let's get that real quick. Oh, come on, man. Right, this is St. Luke chapter 22 and verse 31. And the Lord said, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan have desired to have you, that he may sift you as wheat. But I have prayed for thee, that that thy faith fail not. And when thou art converted, strengthen thy brethren, right? And that's a beautiful thing when you think about it, because Peter was walking with them, walking with Yahushua his whole life. Then, his whole ministry. And he's saying that when you are converted, then you strengthen your brethren, right? So Peter had to go through denying the Messiah, right? He had to go through the fear of persecution, because Yahushua said, hey, you can't drink of this cup, but surely you will drink of this cup, right? The disciples had to drink of that cup, right? The apostles had to drink of that cup that Yahushua had to drink of. That's persecution. They were all going to have to go through that, man. To be ultimately converted, we're converted in this flesh, in these earthly vessels, but then we have to be scourged out and brought into a new vessel, right? One that's otherworldly, right? And that's what we should be looking forward to, right? That's why we got to stand against the wiles of the devils, man. The strategies of the devils. Let's look up this word wiles. Let's look up this word wiles real quick. Wiles. It's methodia, right? Cunning arts, deceit, crafty trickery, right? You gotta. That's where that word method comes from, right? You gotta be aware of his methods. If you're not aware of his methods, hey, that's how he gets you. How Satan get you? Through ignorance of his devices, right? You're not able to stand against his methods, right? Verse 12 says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore take upon you the whole armor of the Most High, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet showed with the preparation of the gospel of peace." Right? You got to gird yourself in this knowledge, man. You got the scriptures for a reason, man. You know what I mean? You got to be continuously in this thing, right? Washing your mind and your body, your mind, body, and spirit with this word, right? You got to be continuously girding yourself up. Verse 16, "Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. And take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of the Most High," right? The word is a two-edged sword, right? Cutting asunder. You know what I'm saying? Let me see something real quick. Okay. Right. Let's go here. Let's get back on it. It says, 18, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplications for all saints, right? Perseverance, right? You got to persist. You got to persist and resist, right? The wiles of the devil, the methods of the devil. Let's get this word perseverance, right? Proskaterasis, right? And it just says perseverance. Let's see what the root word says, right? To adhere to one, be his adherent, to be devoted or constant to one, to be steadfastly attentive unto, to give unremitting care to a thing, right? You got you got to be taking care of your spirit. Give care to your spirit, right? It says to be in constant readiness for one. Wait on constantly, right? To show oneself courageous for, right? To preserve and not to faint, right? So, hey, man, take care of, right? That's a beautiful definition, right? Right? I'll read it again. Praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints, right? Verse 19, and for me, that utterance may be given unto me, that I may open my mouth boldly to make known the mystery of the gospel, right? This word mystery is mysterion, right? Mysterion, right? Hidden things, secret, mystery, generally mysteries, religious secrets, confided only to the initiated and not to ordinary mortals, right? So, hey, man, having a sense of godliness is the mysteries of this gospel, right? All the prophecies, where Mystery Babylon is, who the true Israelites are, right? Even this 12 tribe sign that we have, that's Ezekiel 37. That's a mystery. It's not for the uninitiated, right? It's not for ordinary mortal minds, right? What else to say? A hidden purpose or counsel, secret will of God, the secret counsels which govern the Most High in dealing with the righteous, which are hidden from the ungodly and wicked men, but plain to the godly. Oh, that's cold, right? Because what we see right here. Let's get this in Sirach, right? Ways plain, right? Ways plain. It said, this is the book of Sirach, chapter 39, verse 24. As his ways are plain unto the holy, so are they stumbling blocks unto the wicked. And that's why a lot of, even Israelites can't get these prophecies. They always want to change the doctrine, right? What does it say? Meddle not with them giving the change, right? And I'll get that real quick. All right, this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 24 and verse 21. It says, my son, fear thou Yahweh and the king, and meddle not with them that are given to change. Man, they always want to change the doctrine, right? They don't want to, they can't take sound doctrine. When you rebuke them, you correct them, they continuously want to do what they want to do, right? It's because the ways are plain to the righteous, but the stumbling blocks to the wicked, right? Everything, it got to be overly deep, man. It's simple. Precept upon precept. That's all you got to do, right? If something goes against a precept, you got to break down that precept, or what you're saying is not true. And it's simple as that, right? You can't be overly emotional like we just read, right? You can't be, you know what I mean? Too emotional, man. And worrying about, always worrying about what you think is right. No, what does the Most High say? What does the scripture say? That's all that matters, man. Verse 20. For which I am an ambassador in bonds, that therein I may speak boldly as I ought to speak, right? So you got to teach correctly, right? Let me read this in the NLT, right? Verse 20 in the NLT says, I am in chains now, still preaching the message as the Most High's ambassador. So pray that I will keep on speaking boldly for him as I should, right? And we're in bond right now here in this wicked land of Babylon, right? And let me get this concerning the mysteries, right? Because this is what we should be doing right now. Be seeking out these mysteries, man. If you're not occupied in prophecy, you call yourself a prophet and you're not concerned with trying to learn all the prophecies, right? You're not concerned with trying to master the scriptures. You got a problem, bro. You need to check your spirit, right? This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 25, and verse 2. It says, it is the glory of the Most High to conceal a thing, but the honor of kings is to search out a matter, right? The honor of kings is to search out the matter. Let's look at this word honor. It's kabawad, right? Glory, honor, glorious abundance, right? Abundance, riches, honor, reputation, dignity, right? This is your integrity, is to seek out the hidden things of the Most High God, right? Especially if you calling yourself a king, man. If you're a prophet, oh man, you definitely need to be searching out the concealed things, right? This word for concealed, right, is shathar. Shathar, to hide, to conceal, right? So these things are hidden for a reason, because it's not for everybody to get, right? You know, you can't say you're a malak, man. You're a king, man. You're not concerned with prophecy. You're not occupied in prophecy, right? Let me get this to end out. This is the book of Sirach 39:1. Let's get that. But he that is given his mind to the law of the Most High is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient and be occupied in prophecy, man. So, hey, don't say you're all about the law, but you're not occupied in the meditation thereof, right? You're not thinking about the foundation of our faith, right, which is the Torah. You're not thinking about, the stories of our ancestors. And you're not seeking out the wisdom of the ancient. You're still in a Western mindset, man. You got to get up out of that, bro. You need to be occupied in prophecy, because prophecy is the hope of our salvation, man. Hey, and that's all I got to say. Hey, man, with that, I want to say shalom, shalom, all praise, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, in the name of his only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. Until next time, amen. Shalom.